I'd like to introduce Suzanne Summers.
Lost my slipper. What an entrance. Hi. How are you? Good to see you.
You look wonderful.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Wow. God, you procreated since last year. That's what happens in this whole anti-aging world. I'm so privileged to be here. I'm so privileged to be your messenger. I know you didn't choose me, and I didn't really choose you. This came from a passion that something was not working right. I remember when I was a little girl, Elizabeth Taylor was on the cover of Life magazine. And the reason she was on the cover of Life magazine is nobody could believe that a woman could look good at 40. They celebrated 40. I remember thinking, God, she's old, but she looks good. Well, now 40 is, you know, you're still, a lot of 40-year-olds are still living with their parents. Oh, God, that's not a knock on the door you don't want, isn't it? Hi, Ma. No, go away. And then in the 60s, Gloria Steinem, who's a little older than I am, was on the cover of People magazine because she looked good for 40. And I remember her saying at a press conference, she said, this is what 40 looks like. So I'm here to tell you today that this is what 60 looks like. Yeah! Thanks to you and what you're doing. I've been de-virused, I've been detoxed, I've been HGH'd and progesteroned and testosterone and estrogen and DHDA and pregnenolone, and I've had intravenous C and I've had intravenous glutathione. I do it all. It's so great. I feel so great, and I really believe that right now we're at a crossroads. And the crossroads are a choice. And I don't know about you, but I don't try to convince people anymore. It's just too exhausting. It takes too much energy. But the crossroads, as you know, are you can either choose where you want. You can choose 50-year-old medicine. Is that what you want? Fine, and take all your pharmaceutical drugs and end up in a nursing home. Or you can jump on this fast-moving train. And this fast-moving train is why we're all here. It makes so much sense. I have always connected dots. That's what I do. And it makes absolute perfect sense to me that as we age and we decline, that you want to put back what you've lost in the aging process. Now, my husband's cousin is a gynecologist. I won't even tell what part of the country, so he doesn't know I'm telling this story on him. Anyway, I was giving a lecture in this part of the country to women, and women, by the way, are so hungry for this information. When I give a lecture in any town, always 2,000, 2,500, sometimes 3,000 women show up. It is so incredible, and you can't hear a pin drop because they just want someone to give them some clarification. And although I never give advice, what I'm able to do is say what I did for me and then direct them to one of you when I know about you and what you are doing. So anyway, my cousin, my husband's on my husband's side of the family, my cousin comes up to me after the lecture, and he didn't come to the lecture because he says, I don't even have time to keep up with standard of care. And I thought, you are the problem. And he said to me, Suzanne, menopause is a natural state. Just let nature take its course. And I said, then let us die. You won't let us die. We used to die when nature took its course. We used to die at the turn of the century at 40, 45. And then antibiotics and sewage and technology came along, and we lived to 60, 65. But you know now, we're going to live to 90, 100, 120. Some people are going beyond that. I'll take 120. I said, if they're going to prolong our lives, then I want to have quality of life, because I think there's a racket going on right now. And the racket in standard of care, well-meaning though it is, I'm not putting it down, it's well-meaning. But you don't know what you don't know. I really think at some point, with all the talk about anti-aging, longevity, bioidentical hormones, if I were a doctor and I didn't know anything about it and I didn't learn it in school, I'd come to one of these conferences, I'd take a course, I'd go, hey, what is that you're all talking about? So when they keep us alive this long, we want to have that quality of life. But the racket is that we reach a certain age, and for women it happens so fast, it's in our face, we start losing our hormones, and then we lose 90% of our hormones over a 2-year period, and we feel awful. And I know we're not fun to live with at all, that I know. And when we live this long and we don't put the hormones back, you go to the doctor and you say, I'm so depressed and I can't sleep and I've got allergies and my eyes are watering and my skin itches and I don't have any sex drive and I just don't feel like I used to feel. And what's the first thing that woman gets? Prozac. There is not one woman out there with a Prozac deficiency. And so I watch my girlfriends, and you know, for all of you who are in this business, you can't convince your family, right? And you can't convince your best friends because they've known you forever, and what do you know? So I have all these girlfriends who are on what I call the menopause cocktail. Prozac, Ambien, Claritin, anti-anxiety, say Valium, pain medication for all the joint pain, the hip pain, the knee pain, knees that are going out, hips that are going out, minds that they're losing. And what do they get is this menopause cocktail of all these drugs. Now, for those of you who are really into this, you know that accumulation of chemicals eventually, and the family doesn't want to, and they feel really bad, but it's just so hard to take care of them anymore, and I'm afraid if I leave her at the house, then she'll set the house on fire, or she runs away, or he can't remember anything, and so I felt so badly, but I had to put them in a nursing home. But it's a nice one. It's a good one. And that's the racket. The racket is from the menopause cocktail, and the same version for men, straight into the nursing home. And when I talk to people, I go, it's not too late until you're in that nursing home. Once you're in there, it's too late. Whenever I write a book, the last 3, I've done this twice, with each book that I've written on the hormones, I go to a nursing home. I went to one in Toronto, I went to one in Miami, same thing in both places. You walk in, all the old people are tied to their wheelchairs, they're drugged on something because all their mouths are hanging open. If one yells, the whole hallway yells, and it is the most depressing place. There is not one person in this room who can conceive of ever ending up in a nursing home. And probably in this room you won't, because you know, you get it, you're onto it. But outside of this room, I'll tell you, it's a direct route. And it's a tragedy. Here you're doing all this incredible work so we can live longer and take advantage of this long life, and it is incredible. Once your kids are out of the house and they're married and they've got their own mortgage and it's not your problem anymore, you look at your husband and go, hey, it's nice. And remember me, I've got a sex drive because I'm on bioidentical hormones. And let's not discount that. I had a couple of years there before I found this where I had no sex drive. And it was humiliating because I was sort of known in my younger years as a sex symbol. And I thought, this is terrible that the sex symbol has no sex drive. I better not tell anybody, including my husband. Because, you know, we can fake it. But frankly, I'd rather have a smoothie. And then I found bioidentical hormones. And woohoo! Wow, it's great. You know, I talk to women, they go, oh, I'm glad that's over with, and oh, I'm glad I'm past that. I go, oh, you just forgot. You just forgot how nice it is. And it's so lovely to be married at this age and not be married to someone who's looking over your shoulder when you're dancing because there's a sexuality between you. There's pheromones between you. When I'm in a room, I can tell who are on hormones or who still have their hormones. We put out pheromones. They're not, you can't see them, but you can feel them around someone. There's an electricity between people who still have their sex hormones.